the experts in our own stories.
To talk about and highlight the experience and stories of the Chinese women in Montreal, their contributions to the community, to Montreal.
May is Asian Heritage Month, and Chinese-Canadian artist Karen Tam highlights and honors the contribution of the women of Montreal's Chinatown through her exhibition Swallowing Mountains at the McCord Stewart Museum. The exhibit looks at the hidden history of Montreal's Chinatown and the Chinese women who helped build it, using images and artifacts from the museum as well as the community.
This exhibition basically brings together and mixes together objects from the collection in the museum with artworks that I've made myself, to object documents, treasures from my family, from individuals in the community.
These three are some of the earliest photos we have of Chinese women in Montreal.
The narrative is in the history of the Chinese in Canada, in Quebec, or Montreal. We're always focused on the men. And that's partly because, of discriminatory legislation in the past that prevented families from being together, and it was the men who came over. But there's always been Chinese women.
2023 marks 100 years since the passing of the Chinese Exclusion Act, which banned virtually all forms of Chinese immigration to Canada before it was repealed in 1947.
That's kind of what has affected the community since, over generations.
The name of the exhibit, Swallowing Mountains, comes from Gold Mountain, the name given by early Chinese immigrants for North America, and an old Chinese fable on an old man that lived near two mountains. He one day decided to move the mountains himself with a shovel. He knew he wouldn't be able to move them himself, but believed his family, through generations of hard work, would manage to move them. Moving mountains, an expression that speaks strongly to the history and dedication of the Chinese community in Montreal. Tam refers to mountains as the distance that separates family, distance from loss through the Chinese Exclusion Act. Families were separated for decades.
To share with, the wider Montreal audience, who might not be familiar with the challenges that Chinatown has faced in the past and is facing now.
In Montreal, Brittany Henriques, City News.